Teaching an exploratory class, want to focus on culture? Maybe you're finishing up a unit and you don't want to do a traditional test, or maybe you're going to be gone and you know you're going to have a sub who doesn't speak Spanish. Research projects are the perfect fit for all of these scenarios. Let's talk about how you can use them with your middle school and high school Spanish students. Hey, it's Ashley, aka Scenario to Spanish, where I provide easy-to-use resources to save you time and energy, reduce your stress level and your workload while you're lesson planning. If you're new here, I just want to make sure you know that links to everything that I mentioned will be in the description box below this video. Okay, first we're going to talk about why you might want to use research projects in your classes. Then we're going to talk about some quick tips to make sure you're setting up you, your students, and if you've got one, a sub, to be successful when using a project like this. We're going to look at what might the research project actually look like when they're all done, and some tips for what you can do with them once they finish their projects. So why do research projects at all with your classes? These projects are great to fit in at different points of the year with any level. Exploratory classes can do them in English, intermediate and upper level classes can complete them in Spanish, and your in-between classes could do a mix of languages. Maybe they're researching in English but outputting in Spanish, while upper level classes are researching in Spanish and presenting in Spanish. Totally up to you how you mix and match the language levels of your students' needs. Research projects can also be great emergency subplans. I've talked before about how important it is to have an emergency subplan and your sub binder ready to go. These sorts of things are things that I would absolutely make sure you have copied off and just ready for, well, you know, emergency sub plans, because you never know when something like that is going to happen. Have you ever assigned your class a research project before? Comment below yes or no and let me know if you've ever done a research project before with your students. I might have noticed this microphone thing, trying something different. I don't know. I always want my videos to be as helpful for you as possible. So I don't know, I'm hoping that this makes it easier to hear and easier to listen. Let me know if you think that this audio is better, or if you think it's worse than my usual videos. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but also I'm not listening, so let me know what you think. Okay, let's talk about tips for setup. Prior to starting your research project, I like to email the school librarian or media specialist or whoever it is on that team and tell them, hey, we're going to do a research project on this topic. In some schools that I've been in, the specialist will come into my classroom and help the research go smoothly. It's really nice to have an extra pair of hands and an extra pair of eyes while your students are spending the whole day on the computer doing research and things like that. And also the school media specialist will know if your school or district pays extra money to have a subscription to a particular site or any other resources. The media specialist will have a list of all of those, and they can bring those to your classes, so that way you're not just Googling or using Wikipedia. Not that anything is wrong with those, but if your school is paying for resources that are meant for student use, you might as well get some use out of them, right? Also, just a quick note, I don't mind too much which languages my students are researching in. I usually work with novice level classes, Spanish 1 and 2, sometimes exploratory, and so most of my students are going to choose to research in English. However, even with upper levels, I don't think it's a big deal if students are researching in English or researching in the target language, because if you're having them output in Spanish or English, right, it doesn't matter as long as the information they're getting is accurate and from a trustworthy source, and then they're outputting in whatever the language is. If you really think about it, if you find information that is the information that you need, it doesn't matter what language it is in, right? So to me, I think that doesn't matter a ton what language they're researching in, unless part of your purpose with this project is them getting reading or listening input in the target language as well, and then you can specify that for them. What do you think? Do you have your students research in Spanish or English? Comment below and let me know. What do you prefer your students do when you do a research project? Spanish or English? Comment and let me know. Okay, for all of the research projects that I have my students do, I have a list of the topics, the people, the places, the things that they can choose from to research. This helps me make sure that they're not going to choose somebody or something to research that isn't exactly school appropriate. I usually pick students for who is going to choose first using my class period wheel decide, which is just a random name picker tool that I use. And the students just pick in order of being drawn. I do let them pick other people or other places, but they have to bring that person to me ahead of time and get them approved before they start researching. So that's not really something I would do with an emergency subplan situation, but if it's something where I know we're gonna do this research project, I might give them a heads up ahead of time. And then if they bring somebody in and they're like, I really wanna do this, yeah, sure. As long as I have a chance to just check and make sure that everything's gonna be fine for school, you know? Okay, next, I just print off the templates. I always have students do their research / rough draft kind of scribbles on just a sheet of notebook paper or like a piece of paper that they grabbed from the recycling bin, but I like them to have the template while they're working so they make sure that they're not missing any information while they're doing the research step. Okay, here's a quick look at some of the printable research projects I've had my students do in the past. Holidays and celebrations, countries, Hispanic Heritage Month, Afro-Latinos for Black History Month, Women's History Month, and Spanish-speaking artists. I also have digital projects for all of those topics that I just listed, as well as a few more. For example, one of my favorite digital projects has been having students create their own interactive map. It's so fun and I love to see what they come up with. When your students have completed their projects, there's a few things you can choose to do with them. One, you could have students present their projects one at a time in front of the class, like a formal presentation. Two, you could have students rotate and present to each other in small groups or in pairs. You could skip the oral presentation altogether and just have students hang their final projects, right? If it's printed, you could have them hang their final projects up in your classroom as a bulletin board or display. Last, you could have students hang up their final presentation in the hallway or in a shared space in the school. I think this is a great way to help teach the school more about whatever your students are learning about and to help, increase interest in your program, because sometimes if they can see that the Spanish classes are doing something that interests them, then maybe when it's time to sign up for electives, they're gonna go, oh yeah, do you remember those Spanish classes were doing that cool thing that I saw in the hallway? I wanna try that. I wanna sign up for this class. So that's just another option and another thing to consider. Need help setting up a project of your own? Visit my site at the link in the description below to download any of the resources that I mentioned in this video. There's a mix of free and paid printable and digital projects for you to choose from. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it so YouTube knows you like it. Click subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified of all new content that I create for you in the future. Thanks so much for watching. YouTube is going to recommend a video to you that they think that you would like based on your past video watching history. Creepy, right? Well, creepy or useful, I don't know. Click this video and find out. Is it creepy? Is it useful? See you in the next one.